What's going on, everybody? This is Eric Cole again. You may recognize me from my work over on Talking Chop, where I talk about minor league baseball, major league baseball, all kinds of other stuff. But that's not really the reason why you're here. You're here is because I started maybe a couple months ago, a story called, an article series, I guess I should say, is called Reentering the Hobby, where it kind of chronicles my reentry into the baseball card collecting hobby and the different ways you can do that and kind of how I'm going about it. Full disclosure, for you more serious collectors out there, you're going to see a lot of things that are cringeworthy in terms of efficiency and, you know, maybe not getting the best bang for your buck and dealing with products that you wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with. I understand that. The goal of this series is not just to say, hey, look at all these cool cards I have. I know there's YouTube channels out there that do that and article series that have done that, but that gets stale after a while. What I'm trying to do is trying to portray a lot of different parts of collecting and the different ways you can do that for different price points and things like that. So it's not necessarily going to be just for folks who just like to see sweet cards, but it's also going to be about kind of the different ways you can collect, things you can collect, and things of that nature. So with that said, the last time we talked, we kind of went over kind of the baseline, what I've gotten so far, things that have interested me and things that have not. The video was really long, and this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one. A little bit less has been going on. Less products that have been super interesting to me have come out. One in particular we're going to talk about here in a little bit did come out, and I did kind of want to show that off a little bit. But a few things have happened over the past few weeks. One, I did go to my first card show. It's actually the East Cobb Baseball Card Collector Show or Collectible Show, something like that. It's right over at the Hilton Garden Inn, right by SunTrust Park. So for those of you who live in the Cobb County area or the Atlanta area, it's actually really accessible. They do it at least once a month, sometimes more often than that. When I went, I actually really enjoyed myself. It wasn't like a super giant thing or anything like that. They kind of had just gotten like one good-sized room in the hotel, or kind of like a conference room area where they had there's at least a dozen vendors, if not more than that, were there, and lots of different prices, lots of different cards. There's stuff for vintage collectors. There's stuff for collecting the Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux type era cards. There's plenty of those cards there, and there was a lot of newer stuff too. I didn't pick up a ton of stuff there. It wasn't really my goal to. I just kind of wanted to check it out and see what was going on. I did pick up a few things though. I did pick up some. I picked up some hobby stuff. Some hobby packs of 2018 Topps Update, which I didn't really get much out of, but I'm chasing a couple cards out of that, and we'll talk about that maybe in a different video because I'll have more updates on that relatively soon. But I did pick up another AJ Minter rookie autograph. This is from Topps Chrome. I just like picking up. This was expensive. I think it was like seriously like $4, maybe $5. I like picking up little cards like this. This is an autograph of a guy I like a lot, and while he might not be super valuable now, all he has to do is kind of put together a good showing in the bullpen, and all of a sudden the value of his cards will increase a lot. I also picked up this. I didn't have a Johan Camargo autograph because there hasn't been a lot of his autographs in baseball products. His rookie cards are relatively sought after simply because there's not a ton of them out there. They're only in an update set. And there's not a lot of products with him in it right now. I assume that's going to change relatively soon since he's been performing really well at the major league level. But I managed. This came out of Top. This was out of Topps Series 1. He did have an autograph in it. This is actually the same insert autograph series that I got from the red Mike Fulton-Ewitz autograph when I opened some series. Well, when I was in a group break of Series 1. This is just the base one. Again, was not expensive at all. This was like maybe $10. So really excited. I was pretty happy to get it. As you can see, my cat is coming to join us for some reason. But again, just adding different guys for relatively low cost is kind of my overall goal. And hopefully what I can do is kind of show that if collecting autographs is fun, and that's the flashy part of collecting in a lot of ways, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most expensive way, and you can still get some really cool cards. So I have got some cards recently. These are all, let me make sure I'm not lying before I do that. These all have been from trades or group breaks. And though my luck has gotten a little bit more uneven in terms of group breaks and things like that, but I have had some hits, and I've gotten really fortunate to kind of get some really sweet cards I wouldn't necessarily buy for myself, but again, I still like adding to the collection. And that's been from getting in group breaks where I see value regardless of how it kind of ends up. whether it be getting good base cards that I want, Bowman's First, things like that, and with some high end for me as well. One thing that the Firehand cards is the main site that I've been using for breaks, simply because they have such a wide variation of products that I could get into if I wanted to. If I really wanted to get into super high end stuff, I could. But there's also stuff for more value, which is more value type collecting, which is kind of what I've been focusing on, at least to start, as I grow my collection, and then hopefully if I can sell some things off and maybe get a little bit lucky here and there, I might be able to get into some of those higher end products. But they have these mixers that they do fairly regularly. And one type of mixer they do is a Bowman's Best mixer, where it's 2 boxes of 2016, 2017, and 2018 Bowman's Best. The nice thing about Bowman's Best is because it has a lot of prospects in it. You can get a lot of early cards of guys, and it's not a particularly expensive product, so you can still get some really sweet cards, but not having to spend a bunch of money. To get into this break was like $30. And it's a random teams. That's the trick to it, though, is that sometimes you can get teams that just you're gonna have you have to get pretty lucky to get a big card out of. But I entered one of these mixers and I randomed the Braves, which was really helpful for me because in that particular break, let me see if I can find the other card here. I don't think I have the other one pulled out, but this is the big card I got from that break, which was a gold Kyle Wright auto from his draft year. This is from 2017 Bowman's Best. And as you can see here, it's numbered 1 out of 50. A couple things to note about this card. One, since it's an early Kyle Wright, it's obviously going to be a little bit more desirable. The Bowman's First from a different set is the most desirable Kyle Wright autographs. But since this is numbered to 50, and more specifically, since this is the first one off the production line, it has a little bit more value to it, and it's just really cool. I'm really kind of happy to kind of have it and to add it to the collection. I had a couple Kyle Wright autographs, but I hadn't gotten anything particularly high end. I'm kind of sticking to like that $5 to $10 range in terms of autographs. For the most part, I've ventured out a little bit, but I'm kind of trying to cast a wide net rather than just trying to get the sweetest card of every guy. The other card I got from the break was a 2016 Dansby Swanson autograph, which wasn't his Bowman's First. It wasn't from when he was drafted by the Diamondbacks, but it was one of his first ones in a Braves uniform. So again, was really happy to get that. That was just a base autograph, but again, 2 cards that I normally wouldn't have really been chasing down for myself, but it was a mixer that spanned multiple years. So even if you get a team that's maybe not good in one year, it could be good in another. It was kind of worth it, and so that's what I ended up doing. Another thing, I've talked about this in the past, is that I've really been kind of focusing on doing value, but getting the Braves is tricky because in most 2018 products with Ronald Acuna rookie cards, Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, all those other guys, the Braves are expensive, and that's tricky for those pick your team breaks where you don't necessarily want to spend $100 to open a case of something in the hopes that you can get a Ronald Acuna autograph, because they're not particularly easy to come by. But one product that has been cheap that you can buy the Braves in has been 2018 Bowman Draft, since the Braves only had 1 autograph in that product, which is Grayson Janista. And I had noticed I hadn't entered a Bowman Draft in a little while just because there's only so many Grayson Janista autographs that one needs, and I already had a few. So I was just kind of like, But I had noticed that he hadn't come out of any products, any breaks fairly recently. I'm like, I kind of feel like he's due, and maybe I can get one that has some color. And I hit that in spades with this guy. This is a Gold Wave autograph. This is numbered to 50, and this is actually 50 out of 50. Remember what I mentioned about the Kyle Wright? Getting the first one off the line is really good. Also getting the last one off the line is also really good. It's kind of like, people like round numbers and, liking the first or the last of something. Just kind of adds a level of collectability to it. This is probably the most valuable card I've pulled out of a group break to date. It's not the most valuable card I've pulled, period. That honor goes to that Mike Trout red auto that I pulled out of Series 1, which I'm probably never going to top in my lifetime. But still a really cool card. Was really happy to have it. So now I have a regular base auto as well as a black refractor and then this gold refractor. I may enter another Bowman Draft or 2 here and there to kind of snag out Grayson Janista autographs as I can. But again, nothing. I don't necessarily plan on doing it too often because again, you only need some. I'm not trying to. You're not going to be able to get a ton of other guys. There's a few other prospects that are good, but they don't have any autographs in this particular set. So I haven't really necessarily been focusing too much on this, but it was really nice to get this one. Couple pickups. I found another card store that is relatively close to me. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'll ever be back there again, just because it seemed like he was kind of looking at Beckett price guides and wasn't particularly something I was super happy with in terms of an experience, but they had a decent amount of supplies and they had some other stuff that I could look through and kind of see what was available and what wasn't. Patrick Weigel autographs are still really cheap. He's been added to the 40-man roster. This guy can throw This is a guy I picked up. Another guy I've been kind of looking for here and there is Wes Parsons. I knew this card existed. Again, he's a guy that's on the 40-man roster, but he's kind of gets forgotten about with all the other starting pitching prospects that are around. And he's really cheap. Like, again, this is like a $2-3 card, and that's an autograph, you know, and you can get parallel versions of them and things like that. You don't have to necessarily spend big time money to get cards that are kind of cool, and I like getting this one. There are other parallel versions available. I'll probably track those down over time as they become available. I know like the purple, the blue, and the green versions are not expensive at all. Once you get a little more rare than that, anything that has an autograph on it's going to be a little bit pricey, but you know, it's a card that I'm kind of slowly working towards. Did make a trade. This was for a minor autograph that I pulled out of a break from another random team's break. It was for the Astros. I can't remember who it was. But I got in touch with somebody, and this is actually Mike McKenna, the same guy I traded the Mike Trout to, and he traded me this atomic Christian Pache Bowman's First, as well as a sky blue paper Bowman's First, and just a base Drew Waters Bowman's First, along with a few other cards. Nothing crazy. Just kind of little stuff here to kind of bolster my PC, and just kind of getting rid of a card that I didn't really have any interest in trying to move. And it made things easy since I was going to be wanting to kind of pick up these cards anyway. As for non-Braves cards, and this last one's going to be a sad story. We have Kyle Lewis. Again, I've just been kind of hitting some random breaks here and there as I found value. This was another Bowman's Best mixer, but I got a Kyle Lewis autograph, an Evan White autograph, as well as a Josh Jung, who hasn't been drafted yet. And oddly enough, he could feasibly be available when the Braves draft around pick 9, and he can really hit. So it'd be nice if the Braves picked him up, because then I would have already gotten one of his early autographs. I like doing a little bit of this kind of prospect hunting type stuff because, again, this is a guy that could have feasibly been like a top 5 pick when he was drafted. He was drafted a little bit lower than that. And Evan White's probably one of the best defensive players in the minor leagues, period, especially at first base where he is. And they both have some ceiling. If either one of them works out, I have one of their early autographs, and these could spike in value. And what didn't cost me a lot. What I'm probably going to do with these guys is hold on to them, see what's happening at midseason. Maybe Evan White's playing in the major leagues by then. I believe he's already played in AAA. And he's a highly thought of guy, but not necessarily one of those top 20 prospect type guys. And this is a guy with big time power that was a big time college performer, but he's been hurt most of his time in the minor leagues. If he can get healthy, he's kind of one of those guys who could end up really spiking in value as well. And then I would end up moving on from those and turning them into other cards, which leads me to this guy. This was I can't remember exactly what break this was, but I ended up randoming the Rockies, and I didn't hit anything for a long time. I think it was a prospect variety mixer. They can do like one box of a bunch of different products that have prospects in them. But this is numbered out at 25, and this is Colton Welker. This is one of the better hitting prospects for the Rockies. And when you have a guy like this playing in that ballpark potentially, this is a card that could have some real value. And when you see guys that are putting these like best performers type insert lines and things like that, a lot of times they're guys that are highly thought of and they could move relatively quickly. So again, another card like these where I'm probably not going to do anything with this today or tomorrow, but maybe by midseason, especially if this guy's performing well, I'll toss this up on eBay or something, and then hopefully I can end up making some money off of it, so that way I can turn those into more Braves cards. Now it comes to the sad part of our tale, where, remember when I've been talking, for the most part, about getting good value, not necessarily want to spend a ton of money on breaks where there wouldn't be much payoff. This break here, I did not do that. I wanted to treat myself a little bit. Last month was my birthday month, and I was just kind of like, I want to do something a little bit more pricey and a little bit high end. And I saw that there was a Bowman Jumbo case break happening. And it's not Bowman Draft. It's not Bowman's Best or anything like that. 2018 Bowman is really, really expensive right now, mainly because of the presence of Shohei Ohtani rookie cards and rookie autographs, those really early ones. Because those cards are really expensive and they can go for a lot of money, and as a result, the cost of that product have gone up. So what I ended up doing, I was like, maybe I could get this card. There were Acuna autographs in there. There were Acuna cards in there. There were Christian Pache autographs. That's where this 2018 Bowman is where these Christian Pache cards are coming from now. So maybe if I get the Braves, or maybe if I get the Angels, and I'll get a bunch of Ohtani first. And I talked myself into making a very poor decision. And I spent too much money to get into a break to buy one spot. I ended up randoming the Rockies. And other than some base cards, this is literally the only card I got out of it. This is Sam Howard. He's not particularly highly thought of pitching prospect. This is a canary yellow refractor, which is numbered to 75. It's not a gold. It's not even it's not even as good as a gold. But I'm keeping this, and I'm going to be displaying it prominently as a reminder to myself to kind of stick to what I want to be doing collecting. You know, you can really overextend yourself collecting, getting cards, and doing too much when you don't need to be. That's not those types of breaks that are really expensive with, you know, a high likelihood of a low to no payout are not the things that a lot of people need to be doing. Some people can, and they like that chase, and that's fun, and they have that sort of disposable income, and they don't necessarily care about getting a return on everything that they spend, but that's not what I want to be doing. That's not kind of how I want to operate. So again, this is kind of a card that's sort of going to be a kind of a funny reminder for me to not do that ever again. So kind of a little sad story of a mistake that I made. In terms of products that have come out since the last time we made these videos, the only thing that's really been notable has been the 2019 Topps Heritage. That came out a few weeks ago, and it's an interesting set. I'll say that. It's mainly a set for set builders, I will say. People who want to like kind of have one of each card, and they want to have like be able to look at all those like kind of retro designs. I really like the design more than I thought I was going to. But it's, in terms of hits, in terms of autographs and relics and things like that, there are some really, really good hits, but they're extraordinarily hard, and a lot of times you get kind of nonsense. One type of hit that you can get, this isn't actually from this year's Heritage, it's from a different one, but I picked this up for really cheap on eBay the other day. They have these mint line where basically it has a nickel, a dime, a quarter, or $half, depending on what the rarity is, of... They embed them in the cards depending on whatever year the Topps Heritage is emulating. This year is top 1970. This is obviously 1967. Again, this is kind of an example, but they have similar ones like this in this year's Heritage. So it'll be like a 1970 nickel with a kind of a 1970s design, and then it'll have the player on there. This is a Dansby Swanson, numbered to 99. Again, wasn't expensive at all, just a few bucks on eBay. I just wanted to pick it up so that way I could kind of show off kind of one type of the unique inserts other than just the usual autographs. Patch cards, things like that. So and I didn't invest a ton in High Heritage. I bought the Braves in a couple breaks, and again, it's not the cheapest product, but it's not an expensive one either. And I really just wanted kind of a team set of all the Braves Heritage cards, at least all the base ones. And as you can see, I got pretty close. I do have a Ronald Acuna. There's the Ozzie Albies. We'll talk about those kind of cards here in a second. But I do have all of them. I have a Ronald Acuna floating around here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where I put it. But it's him sitting in a dugout holding a bat and smiling, because that's just what Ronald Acuna does. The thing that you want to note about Heritage cards, and I'll show it off with Ozzie here. If you're buying Heritage, you're going to look at this corner right here. Anything that's numbered 400 or higher is short printed, even though it's not numbered on the card. That's important because that means that some of these base cards, like the Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna in particular, because he's number 500, they're a little bit harder to come by than you'd think. I've gotten into those two breaks, and I've opened exactly 2 Ozzies and only 1 Acuna, and only 1 Freddie for that matter. So those cards are more desirable and harder to get than you think. And there's also variations of these cards, and I'm going to show off one here in a minute because I only have one right now, but at least I can illustrate exactly what's going on with it. This is Josh Donaldson's first card in a Braves uniform, by the way. They're fairly highly sought after right now, for no other reason that people want them for autographs, because this particular type of stock from the Heritage cards is really easy to sign. I did get one hit from my Heritage breaks, and that's a Colby Allard autograph. I don't know what I got on there. Again, I'm 2 for 2 on getting Colby Allard rookie autographs this year, and this is kind of just shows that this is a different run, things like that. But the biggest things that you want to chase in Heritage aren't necessarily autographs or patch autos and things like that, because those are kind of hard to come by, and some are a lot more desirable than others, I should say. But this, what you want to chase, if you're chasing anything, you want to chase these variations. Now, there's a different variation. Some of them are like, the team name is messed up, is an error. It's a different color. Or down here, this is called a color swap variation. If this is different, if the picture is different and it's like him in an action pose, which is what this one is, it'll be an action variant. There are some that have nickname variants. Ronald Acuna Jr. has one that I really want, but it's very expensive right now. It says Sabanero Soy instead of his name down here. That's a nickname variant. And then sometimes like the color down here will be wrong, and that'll be an error variant. The way you can tell this, if you're not familiar with every picture that's in the set, which I can't frankly expect anyone to be, that familiar with them with a set, is you just look at the back, and if you'll look right here in that circle, you'll see it says action right here. It'll be right there at the bottom, and whatever the variation is, it will say. Josh Donaldson does have a variation in the set. It's a trade variant, and literally all it means is like right down here, it'll say like acquired, and it'll be like this is how he was acquired, and that's literally all. It's just a slight difference, but it's just something else that makes it collectible. It doesn't necessarily have to be autographs. It doesn't have to necessarily be a different colored card to show its rarity. All those things are short printed, and that's just another thing you can kind of chase after. But Heritage is kind of a weird set in that regard, in terms of how you would go about collecting. That's all I have for today. Panini Donruss did come out recently. I'm not going to be doing much with that, but I did get into a small break of that just so I can get some of the cards so I can show them off to you guys in the next video. I'm also planning on going to be doing some stuff with Topps Inception, which comes out in a couple weeks, or maybe a week. And then towards the beginning of April, it's going to be when Bowman comes out. When there's going to be some Bowman First cards. I'm fairly certain there's going to be some Braves guys who haven't had autographs that I'm going to be trying to get, as well as a few prospects that I'm actually going to be kind of hunting down from some other teams so I can kind of flip those and turn those into other cards. But that's all I have for today, you guys. I appreciate you reading and following along, and we'll see you next time.